Here, there, and everywhere, as they say.
Okay, Rabbi Isai, we're on Daf Samach Zayin Amud Aleph at the 2 dots. And the Mishnah says we're continuing our discussion of no sein tam, forbidden substances that enter into larger mixtures and give off flavor. So Zeh klal kol shebahana'aso b'no sein tam v'chulei. The Mishnah had said that the general rule is that if a forbidden substance enters into a mixture and gives it positive flavor, it makes it asur. If, however, it gives it negative flavor, no sein tam lifgam, so then it's mutter. And the example that the Mishnah had provided was if a forbidden vinegar falls on top of beans, so then that's no sein tam lifgam. So after you wash off the vinegar, the beans still have a residual flavor of vinegar. They're still permitted because it's no sein tam lifgam. It adds a negative flavor.
So they didn't eat bean salad in those days.
Well, you're going to see. You're going to see. That's actually a very good point, Shlomi. Let's take a look. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Hachi Hilchasa. So Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel that that's taka the halacha. Va'amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Lo shano elo shenafel asoch grisin roschin. Avol nafel asoch grisin sonen in v'hirsicha nasa kemisha ishbiach lebasof pogein va'aser. He says, but there's a severe qualification to this. He says, the only time we say that when the vinegar falls on the beans, it's no sein tam lifgam, is if it falls on top of hot beans. But if it falls on cold beans, so then even if afterwards you heat up the beans with the vinegar, so that when in the heated state it's not good tasting, but since at one time it was good tasting, like a bean salad, like Shlomi says, so then once the good flavor was put in, even if you later convert it to bad flavor, it's too late. It becomes asur. V'chein ki asur rabin amar rabba bar barchana amar Rabbi Yechanan lo shano elo shenafel asoch grisin roschin avol nafel asoch grisin sonin in v'hirsicha nasa kemisha hishbiach lebasof pogam ve'asur. So Rabin, in the name of Rabbi Bar Barchan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, says exactly the same thing. V'chein ki asur Rav Dimi v'chulei, and Rav Dimi also said the same thing. And v'chach hayu osin, and then he adds, but that's v'chach hayu osin ba'arvei shabbos b'tzipori v'korin osam shachalayim, and they actually used to make a bean salad to have Erev Shabbos, and they used to call it shachalayim, which is a sort of a vinegary cress salad. In other words, the point is that this was something tasty that people will look forward to as a special delicacy for Erev Shabbos. And so, if anything, it's no sein tam lishvach if it's cold. So therefore, we have to bear in mind that it has to be no sein tam lifgam throughout its combination with the larger mixture.
You should serve it a parshanut Rabbi.
Okay, if you come. Although, yeah, okay. Amar Reish Lakish, no sein tam lifgam sha'amru, lo sheyamru kidei rezu chasera melach yisera melach chasera tavlin yisera tavlin, ela kol she'in chasera klum ve'ina ne'acheles mipnei zeh. So the first statement of Reish Lakish is a chumrah. In other words, what happens if as a result of the asur item mixing in, it has a negative flavor? But part of the reason it has a negative flavor is not solely because of the forbidden item, but rather it's because there's also a lack of proper spicing of the dish, such that when the forbidden mixture mixes into that poorly spiced dish, it has a negative flavor. But if it was properly spiced beforehand, if there was sufficient salt and other ingredients put into it, then the adding of this forbidden item would not be no sein tam lifgam. So it says Reish Lakish, that's not called no sein tam lifgam, and therefore it's going to be asur. The definition of no sein tam lifgam is that the sole contributor to the fact that this food is now less good tasting than it was before is the forbidden substance. Okay, so that's one way of learning Reish Lakish. V'ika da amri amr Reish Lakish, no sein tam lifgam shamru ein omrim kidei rezu chasera melach chasera tavlin yisera tavlin ela hashta miha hapagma. The second version of Reish Lakish's statement is just the opposite, that it doesn't matter why it has a negative taste, But if, as a result of the mixing of the forbidden substance, it has a negative taste, even if it's because it was poorly spiced from before, such that because it was not properly spiced, and then we introduced the forbidden substance, it now has a negative flavor, that's enough to be no Saint Tam Lifgam. So the second version is a kula, not a chumrah, for no Saint Tam Lifgam. Amar Rabbi Vohu, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So you see this is related to the next piece of Gemara. Rabbi Vohu says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kol shetamo umamasho asur, lokin alav, v'zehu kizayis b'chdei achilas pras. So he says, first of all, he says like this. What's the girsa change? V'lokin alav, right? He says that if you have particles of the actual food, forbidden food item that is mixed into the larger mixture, and there is a particular ratio such that were you to eat a half a loaf worth of this mixture, you would, during that course of time, you'd be eating a kazayas of the forbidden. So then it's considered as if you ate the forbidden item by itself, a kazayas of it, and therefore you're going to get malchus. So let's say, just as an example, little pieces of pork fell into a cholent, okay? And the proportion is such that by eating a pras's worth, which is a pras, according to Rashi, is 4 kibetzim, 4 eggs, and usually a kibetza is twice a kazayas. So it's like 8 kazesim. So it's 1-in-8 ratio. You've got little pieces of pork, 1/8, right, 8-to-1 ratio towards the larger cholent. So you eat a bowl of that cholent, and in the course of eating that bowl of cholent, you've eaten a kazayas of pork. So that's where you get malchus for eating the pork. Because it's 1/8 ratio. But if it's less than that, even though the entire substance is usser, but because you're not eating a full kazayas in one sitting, but it's a protracted eating of a kazayas, so it's not, you don't get malchus for it. It's usser to eat it, but you don't get malchus if you do.
You only eat 2 beitzim worth of this dish.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm saying even if you ate a whole bunch of it, you ate a ton of it, but since over the course of eating 1 pras's worth, you're not consuming a kazayas, even if you end up eating a kazayas, but it takes you 3 hours to eat it because you got to consume a lot, you don't get malchus. The point is that in order to be in violation for which you get malchus, you have to eat a kazayas in a normative fashion, which means you have to eat it within a certain time span. This has applications to the night of the Seder, as I'm sure you all know. Then when we say you have to eat a kazayas of matzah or a kazayas of maror, it has to be bichadei achilas pras. It has to be within the time that it takes to eat a half a loaf of bread or 4 kibetzes of bread. So is a machlokas in the poskim is how much time that is. It's anywhere between 2 minutes and 9 minutes. But the point is that if you took a long time to eat a kazayas of matzah, such that it's no longer bichdei achilas pras, then you're not yotzei the mitzvah, because it's not called an achila of a kazayas. So in the case of the chazer falling into the cholent, it may be usher, but you don't get malchus if it's not a kazayas bichdei achilas pras.
We have the kula of 9 minutes with chumrah, because you would be over if you ate it within 9 minutes.
Right. So that's
the opposite effect.
Yeah, but every posek holds is consistent, right?
Yeah.
But tamo v'lo mamasho aser ve'ein lokin alav. But the point here is, contrast that with a situation where isser falls into a pot and it completely dissolves. There's no longer any palpable, any detectable particles of the isser, because let's say it dissolves. Let's say it's a piece of fat, forbidden fat, that falls into a pot of soup, and it completely dissolves. So you have the tam, you have the flavor of it, but even if there's a high concentration of that fat, since it's completely dissolved and it's no longer detectable physically, so then you don't get malchus, even if you end up eating a kazayas bichdei achilas pras. And then he says, and by the way, I don't believe we paskin this way, but I'm not sure. Now, v'im riba tam lifgam mutter. And if, he says, you added, if this forbidden item added tam lifgam, it added a negative flavor, not only do you not get malchus for consuming it, but it's even mutter lechatchila to go ahead and eat it. So the Gemara's question is, V'lema im nasan tam lifgam mutter.
This pork thing would be mutter then.
If it was no saint tam lifgam, yeah. So the question now is, according to the Gemara, why did Rabbi Avahu use such an unusual language of riba tam lifgam? Why not say nosan tam lifgam? Instead of saying it added a negative flavor, say it provided a negative flavor like we've been using all along. So hakamashmalan da'afal gav di'ika mili acharanaisa de pogma bahadei v'hilchasa kalishna basra dereish lakish. His chiddush is, of Rabbi Avahu in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, is that even if the reason why the forbidden substance is providing a negative flavor is because of a poorly spiced dish, it means there are other factors besides the forbidden substance that is contributing to its providing a negative flavor, we still say it's no saint tam lifgam and it's mutter, because we're going like the second version of Reish Lakish, which is more liberal, which is more lenient.
So that's why he says riba.
That's right, because if it's adding, in other words, it's combining with something else in the dish that makes it taste bad.
The salt or the spice or
the salt or the lack of salt or whatever it is. Okay. Now, Amar of Kahana, midivrei kulam nilmad no saint tam lifgam mutter. From all of these aforementioned rabbis, we get a basic picture that's quite crystal clear, and that is when something gives a negative flavor and it's a forbidden substance introduced into a mixture, the mixture is still permitted. So Amar le Abaya bishlama mikulu lechayai, ela deresh lakish amro ka'amar v'leilo svirale. So Abaya says, I agree with you that all of the aforementioned sages seem to be saying that, except for Reish Lakish. He doesn't seem to be paskening. Because if you look carefully at Reish Lakish's language, his language is, no saint tam lifgam she'amru. This idea of no saint tam lifgam that the rabbis address, when they address it, here are the qualifications. So it could be that he himself doesn't hold of it. So you don't see from Reish Lakish necessarily that he paskins that way. But the Gemara says, but what you're trying to essentially suggest is that this may be a machlokes. So is that what you're trying to say? So the Gemara says, Michlal di'ika l'mandamer no sein tam lifgam aser. Are you suggesting that there's an opinion out there that holds that no sein tam lifgam is aser? Even when it provides a negative flavor, it still is aser? And yes, because Vahatani, here's the brisa. Echad no sein tam lifgam, ve'echad no sein tam lishvach, aser divrei Rav Meir. See, Rav Meir says, it makes no difference whether the prohibited substance adds a positive or a negative flavor. It's always going to aser the larger mixture. And it's only Reb Shimon Omer, lishvach aser v'lifgam mutter. He's the one who makes the distinction whether it's positive versus negative. So frek the Gemara, my time of the Reb Meir. What's Reb Meir's reasoning, Taka, for saying that it doesn't make a difference? The answer is Gomer migi'uli ovdei kochavim. He learns it out from the kashering of the utensils of the idolaters that is in Parshas Matos. The war with Midian, the soldiers come back with spoils, and Moshe says if you want to use their cooking utensils, you have to pass it through hot water in order to kasher it, to do hag'olah. Hag'olah is the process of kashering with hot water to kasher the vessels. So gi'uli ovdei kochavim lav nosein tam lifgam hu va'aser rachmana hachanami loshna. So Reb Meir's argument is like this. Look, when you have a utensil that hasn't been used in 24 hours, any flavor that's absorbed into the walls of the vessel no longer going to emit a positive flavor. It's going to emit a negative flavor. So why did Moshe require them to kasher the vessels? He should have just told them, just wait, and then it'll be no saint tam lifgam, and it's no problem. So that's how I know that no saint tam lifgam is aser, according to Reb Meir. The idach kidei Rav Huna b'rei de Rav Chia, d'amar Rav Huna b'rei de Rav Chia, lo asra torah l'kidei Rabbas Yoma, de lo lifgamu. That Reb Shimon's response to that is no. Moshe was telling them that if you want to use the vessel right away, within the last 24 hours of its previous use, then you have to kasher it. I mean, just imagine. Guy comes home with this pot from a Midianite. he tells his wife, honey, we don't have to do anything. We can use it. Just wait 24 hours. She says, you're going to bring that in my house? No way. You're going to kasher that right away. So that's the reason why Moshe had to give them a halacha, because the Rebbitzins would not allow the pots to be brought in the house. So I'm using a little satire in case you didn't notice. V'idach, and Reb Meir's opinion is, Kedera bas yoma nami I efshar de lo pagma purta. Reb Meir says, I don't buy this idea that, within 24 hours it's no Saint Tam l'shvach, and immediately punklach, after 24 hours it's no Saint Tam l'fgam. It's a sliding scale. It's progressive. That, even after 10 hours, there's a partial tainting of the absorbed substances inside the walls of a pot. Mm-hmm. So even within 24 hours, there's an aspect of no Saint Tam l'fgam as well. And even if you're going to say that Moshe required them to kasher pots that are bas yomo, that are used within 24 hours, there's still a no Saint Tam l'fgam aspect, even a few hours later after its previous use. And therefore, the Torah is telling me that no Saint Tam l'fgam is aser. Now, Reb Shimon my time. Okay, we understand Reb Meir, but what's Reb Shimon's reasoning? Where does he know that no Saint Tam l'fgam is mutter? What's his source? The Tanya lo sochlu chol nevela lager asher bisharecha. The Torah says you may not eat carrion, and therefore give it to the righteous Gentile who is living among you. So kol haru'uya lager kruya nevela. She'ein ru'uya lager eina kruya nevela. What we learn from that pasuk is that it has to be edible, something that's desirable for eating to a human being. And then it's called nevela, then it's aser. But if it's not something that a human being would want to eat because it has a negative flavor, so then it's not even called nevela, it's not even prohibited. So you see that a negative flavor of a prohibited substance is not prohibited. It's not called that prohibited substance anymore. So that's how I know that no Saint Tam l'fgam is mutter. The Gemara then says, V'Reb Meir, hahu le'me'ute srucha mikara. Reb Meir says, well, I agree with you that if it has a negative flavor, it's not called nevela, but not in a situation that you're addressing, which is where at one time it had a positive flavor, and then because it went rancid or bad, it has a negative flavor. That's not what the Torah is saying. The Torah is addressing a situation where the animal, let's say, even when it was alive, had diseased tissue. It was a diseased animal. So therefore, immediately upon its death, there was never a point where its meat was desirable, that it was never positive and then it changed to negative. It was always negative. That's why the Torah says it's an avela. If a person were to go ahead and eat the flesh of a diseased animal, he'd probably get very sick. But also, but the second thing is he would not incur a violation of eating nevela, because that's what the Torah says is no Saint Tam l'fgam is mutter, because it never was positive. But if something was originally positive, and then because of the elapsing of time, it went negative, there I hold, says Reb Meir, no Saint Tam l'fgam is aser. V'Reb Shimon, srucha meikar lo srucha miyuta, afra be'almahu. And Reb Shimon says, I disagree. If the Torah cannot be coming to tell me that something that was always bad tasting is mutter, because that's something that's so self-evident. It's like saying that dirt is not a problem of kashrus. It's not an edible item. And in the same vein, something that never had a positive flavor is not an edible item. You don't need the Torah to tell me that it's mutter and there's no problem of machalos asuros, of forbidden food. So therefore, the only thing that the Torah could be coming to address when it's teaching me that a bad-tasting nevela is mutter is when originally it had a positive flavor, and then because of the elapsing of time, it developed a negative flavor. And the Torah is telling me that no Saint Tam l'fgam is mutter. And that's the conclusion of the Gemara. We have a machlokes between Reb Meir and Reb Shimon, whether no Saint Tam l'fgam is aser, or whether no Saint Tam l'fgam is mutter. We hold that no Saint Tam l'fgam, at least b'di'eved, is mutter. Lechatchila, I'm not allowed to go ahead and take a pot that was used for cooking pork and let's leave it for 24 hours and then just use it. But if b'di'eved, right? This happens all the time. I get calls at least once a week. I used a pot, a milchika pot, to make soup, a fleishicha soup. So what's the halacha? When was the last time you used the milchika pot? Oh, I didn't use it for a week. Okay, the soup is kosher. You got to kosher the pot, but the soup is kosher because there's no sein tam lifgam. B'di'evin. But lechatchila, you'd never be. You try to cook in a fleishich, in a milchik pot. You try to cook a chicken soup in a milchik pot. Your wife will cook you instead of cooking the soup. A good nerve.